Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Following the Republican takeover of Virginia, a red wave has swept through New York State. This gave conservatives across the country tremendous encouragement. At the same time, it confused many, especially in the Virginia governor's race, where they feared that the same thing would happen as last year, yet in the end, it didn't happen. Why is that? We'll do a closer analysis today. Democrats have different interpretations of this defeat, with some Democrats saying that they should have pushed harder for radical bills, while moderates argue that it was those radical policies that dragged the party down. For Republicans, they believe it was the far-left platform that caused Americans to abandon the Democratic Party with their votes. What shocked the political world the most, however, was a truck driver in New Jersey with no political affiliation or even campaign funds defeated the most powerful Democratic Senate president in New Jersey. So, how did he do it? Okay, let's get into it. New York State, one of the strongholds of the left, has seen surprising results after the election on Tuesday, November 2nd. Republicans won several local races, and the state is appearing to move toward the right. Republican Danielle Fogle defeated former far-left Congressman Anthony Brindisi in a landslide race for New York Supreme Court in the 5th Judicial District. Many key posts in Ulster County, Essex County, St. Lawrence County, Clinton County, and more have flipped red. The red wave also reached New York's affluent Long Island region, where Republicans won almost all of the three major electoral races. In Suffolk County, incumbent district attorney Timothy Sinee, a Democrat, has conceded defeat to Republican challenger and former Commonwealth attorney Ray Tierney. Sinee told his campaign, "This is a red wave. There's no coming back. We lost this race." One of the biggest upsets could be in the race for Nassau County Executive. Republican candidate Bruce Blakeman announced his victory over incumbent County Commissioner Laura Curran on Tuesday, but Curran did not concede and said thousands of mail-in ballots remain to be counted, which officials say will be done slowly and carefully. Blakeman is currently leading with 52% of the vote after 99% of the ballots have been counted. Blakeman said, "I'm very confident that we won. It would be very improbable that they would get so many absentee ballots that they would be able to overturn 11,000 votes. Up to Wednesday, the Nassau County Board of Elections had received over 21,000 absentee ballots. Experts say that for every 2 absentee ballots returned by Democrats, there is 1 from a Republican. Political analyst Mike DeWidziak says it might not be enough to put Curran over the top if you do the math on that. She should pick up about 6,000 votes. It's mathematically possible, but it's very tight. Right now, there's not enough paper in to overturn it. But absentee ballots can arrive at the Board of Elections up until November 9th, as long as they were postmarked by Election Day. Those votes won't be able to be counted until 7 days after the election. Board of Elections officials say members from both political parties will be present when they are opened. When Joe Biden returned to the White House from Europe on November 3rd, he heard the news of the Democrats' defeat in Virginia. He blamed Trump supporters as the reason for his defeat. He also said he could understand the concerns of the American people, such as the question of whether the federal government could control the epidemic, the issue of children's education, and even the issue of gas prices. Then he further said that if his Build Back Better bill had passed by Tuesday, the Democrats might not have lost so badly in Virginia. It probably didn't occur to him that it was precisely the far-left bills and policies, including the Build Back Better plan, that scared most American voters. A new Harvard Capps-Harris poll results are unfavorable for Biden and the Democrats. A majority of 58% of respondents oppose the spending bill Democrats are pushing. There are different interpretations of the defeat within the Democratic Party, with the left complaining that the Democrats are still not far enough to the left. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, on the other hand, is more sober, criticizing the Democratic bill as unpopular. Republicans are more consistent in their understanding of the recent red wave. This is the first step in the American voters' rejection of the left-wing culture and platform. Republican strategist Brian Darling said the GOP's big win in the elections show that the left-driven platform is losing voters. He noted that most Democratic voters are center-left. So they are upset when they see far left trying to push out moderate Democrats like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin as they try to defend the interests of Americans. For the first time since 2009, a Republican is Virginia's governor, lieutenant governor, and state attorney general. Glenn Youngkin is a former private equity executive. He has a background quite similar to President Trump's. They are both businessmen who ran for public office for the first time as political virgins. So, how did Youngkin win? Campaign strategists say elections are almost never decided by a single factor. This year's election is no exception. To summarize, here are some of the key factors that led to Youngkin's victory. Number one, voters reject the Biden administration's vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and lockdowns. In his campaign, Glenn Youngkin stated he opposed harsh economic blockades, vaccine mandates, and mask mandates. This was widely welcomed by voters. Black voters are an important demographic for Democrats, but they didn't show up as much as they did in 2020. One reason for this may be that African Americans have been hesitant about vaccines and even more uncomfortable with the mandatory vaccinations. Also, the reality of blue-collar workers and first responders being fired for not vaccinating has caused a strong backlash among voters. Number two, CRT and gender politics are counterproductive. Issues such as critical race theory and gender politics have played a major role in the Virginia campaign. Democratic candidate Terry McAuliffe saying that parents shouldn't have a role in their children's education, coupled with the Biden Justice Department's labeling of parents who oppose CRT as domestic terrorists, has greatly angered Virginia parents. Number three, economic and livelihood issues. Massive supply shortages and empty shelves, along with soaring inflation and skyrocketing gas prices, may have a greater impact on voters than imagined. It is widely believed that the ruling party will have to pay the price for this. This is shown in Biden's plummeting ratings. Number four, Trump's endorsement. Glenn Youngkin, who was virtually unknown a year ago, won the Republican primary in the Virginia governor's race with an endorsement from President Trump. President Trump also called on Republican voters to vote for Youngkin on the eve of voting day. Number five, McAuliffe's poor strategy in his debate with Youngkin. McAuliffe did not lay out new campaign ideas, but kept trying to attack Youngkin by attacking Trump, or he repeated the current Democratic radicals' rhetoric. The result backfired. On the one hand, he angered voters who are unhappy with the current Democratic policies, and on the other hand, it made people who were influenced by the media last year to believe that the Democrats could handle the pandemic better than President Trump feel deceived, and in turn, they supported Youngkin. And number six, last but not least, mail-in ballot witness signature was required. In the midst of the pandemic last year, Democrat-dominated Virginia legislature permanently expanded absentee voting, but the requirement for witness signatures on mail-in ballots, which was waived last year, returned this year, showing that people are learning from experience. Faced with a large percentage deficit on the night of November 2nd, McAuliffe refused to admit defeat, and he said he would continue to count the votes. And when Fairfax County announced that it would need to delay the release of the ballot numbers, people started to worry, but this time around, Virginia counted the mail-in ballots up front. Youngkin prepared in advance by sending a large number of poll watchers to observe polling places. He also set up multiple hotlines for people to call if they encountered or saw any problems during the voting process. 4 top election law attorneys were hired and were ready to file lawsuits if issues arose. With such adequate preparation, it was easier to achieve election integrity. Next, we'd like to tell you a story of an underdog in this election, a truck driver who defeated New Jersey's most senior Democratic Senate president. His success shocked the political world. Why did he suddenly decide to go into politics? And how did he manage to make a breakthrough? But before we continue, please like and share this video to help us to spread the truth. And if you are able to, please consider supporting us by donating to our donor box. The link is donorbox.org/front-page. We here at Front Page thank you for your support. New Jersey's gubernatorial race is still neck and neck, but the incumbent Democrat Governor Phil Murphy announced his victory Wednesday night. Republican nominee Jack Ciattarelli said he will not concede, arguing the race is too close to call. Nearly 24 hours after the election ended, at 6:26 p.m. Wednesday, the Associated Press announced that incumbent Phil Murphy was narrowly re-elected as governor in New Jersey. A pre-election Monmouth poll positioned Murphy with an 11-point lead over Ciattarelli. But when the Associated Press announced Murphy's victory, Murphy was at 50.8%, while Ciattarelli was at 48.5%, with 90% of expected votes in. At the time, Murphy had just over 19,000 votes more than Ciattarelli. Stommy Williams, communication director for Ciattarelli, tweeted, "With the candidates separated by a fraction of a percent out of 2.4 million ballots cast, it's irresponsible of the media to make this call when the New Jersey Secretary of State doesn't even know how many ballots are left to be counted." Multiple polling places have reported worker errors. The staff were unfamiliar with the new machines and mistakenly locked ballots in there. County officials are waiting for a court order to reopen the machines and retrieve the data. Murphy's late dominance was largely due to the large number of votes for him in Bergen County, the state's prominent Democratic stronghold. New Jersey has nearly 1 million more Democratic voters than Republican voters, and the state's unaffiliated voters outnumber voters from both parties. For the past 20 years, every time a president has been elected, New Jersey votes for governor for the other party. For example, when Democrat Barack Obama was elected for president in 2008, the state elected Republican Chris Christie as its governor. And when Trump won the 2016 presidential election, the state elected Democrat Phil Murphy as its governor. An underdog has emerged in the U.S. state election. A humble conservative truck driver with no political experience has officially defeated New Jersey Senate President Steve Sweeney, one of the most powerful Democrats in New Jersey. This result shocked the political world. So what triggered Edward Durr, the truck driver, to run for politics all of a sudden?
What motivated me more than anything was I went for my concealed carry, and I was told flat out by the local sheriff, don't even bother.
Wow.
And that kind of angered me. I'm a person, like I said, I'm a truck driver, and I've been to, I would say, almost every military base running up and down the East Coast. I've been to the Pentagon. I've been to CIA. You know, I've never been arrested, and I couldn't get a concealed carry, and that really angered me. And so I looked into what can you do to get into politics.
Durr had no campaign funding and didn't even have a campaign website other than a Facebook page. Instead, he worked very hard, knocking door to door and listening to people's concerns. Durr told Breitbart, "I walk 3 to 4 hours on Tuesday and Wednesday. Saturday and Sunday, I walk 6 to 8 hours. This is not an easy task for his age," Durr said. "Trust me, plenty of days I didn't feel like walking. It was too hot, my ankles and feet hurt. I'm not a young man anymore, and I have gout and plantar fasciitis. It was a hard thing." Sweeney is one of the most powerful Democrats in the state and the longest-serving state legislative leader in New Jersey history. Breitbart reported that Sweeney laughed at Durr when he challenged him. He even refused to debate Durr during the campaign. How did Durr, who has no political experience and no deep pockets, think that he had a chance to defeat such a big opponent?
Well, I'm a numbers guy, and I've looked at the numbers over the years. We have a district that is 150,000 voters. Senator Sweeney has never broken 32,000 votes. It's always been 31 and change. And so I felt if he can't even get half the district, that means there's numbers out there to be taken, and you just have to motivate and get the people to come out and vote.
According to the Associated Press, turnout for Tuesday's election was only about 37%, a record low in years. Apparently, Durr was successful in rallying a huge turnout for his district. This is Edward Durr's campaign video. It is straightforward, unique, and impressive.
The Senate President has spent 20 years in Trenton. Higher taxes, increasing debt, and a rising cost of living. We deserve better. New Jersey, it's time for a change. So together, let's end single-party rule. Vote for me, Edward Durr, for Senate.
Several reports say that the amount of money Durr spent on his whole campaign was only $153. Durr responded in an interview that this was not right. He estimates that he spent about $8,000 to $9,000 in total, mostly on campaign literature, yard signs, and a now viral video. One of the reasons why Durr won was because he cared about people's freedoms and he took the time to listen to what people wanted. Widespread vaccine mandates have not only caused lots of disputes about individual freedom and constitutional rights, but also significant changes in people's lives. In Ontario, Canada, Lisa Bildy is a constitution and human rights lawyer. She said that she's been flooded with calls from people who are trying to survive the devastating result of refusing to go along with the vaccine mandates. People in the healthcare profession getting fired, students not being allowed to complete their education, and dreams of a career in hockey vanished are only some of the issues that lawyers like Bildy are now facing. Some university students were told by their schools that if they couldn't prove that they had been vaccinated, they would be charged with trespassing if they tried to come to school. In one case, a medical student said her institution is making her choose between getting vaccinated and getting kicked out of her program. She would be left with a huge debt and not be able to find a job. There are doctors that have to either get the shot or have the hospital suspend their privileges and effectively not be able to work. They had only 48 hours to decide. Saya Hassan, a lawyer at the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, said that her university and college clients have been told that they have to get vaccinated even though their classes are online. And yet no one has been able to tell them why students need to be vaccinated if their courses are online. A lawyer in Toronto, Ryan O'Connor, who specializes in federal and provincial legislation, said that rather than malign those who ask for exemptions, they should be handled with understanding. He said, there are various reasons why individuals cannot or are unable to be vaccinated: religious belief, a disability they experience, their medical status, their age, or because they wish to wait. He added, instead of being treated as expendable in the workplace, or that they should be denied access to an education, a little bit of understanding, care, and compassion will go a long way to resolve some of these issues. NBA star Kyrie Irving, who is receiving tremendous pressure from the league and mainstream media, has refused to get the COVID vaccine because he believes it's what's best for him. Irving will lose $17 million for missing games and may be forced to retire. Former world boxing champion Floyd Mayweather shared a powerful video message with Irving.
America is the land of the free. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and supposedly freedom to choose. Never be controlled by money. I respect you for having some integrity and being your own man. A free mind makes its own choices. An enslaved mind follows the crowd. Stand for something or fall for anything. One man can lead a revolution to stand up and fight for what's right. One choice, one word, one action can change the world. It's crazy how people hate you for being a leader. I hope your actions encourage many others to stand up and say enough is enough. Respect to you, Kyrie, and power to the people.
Yesterday, we published a video on our membership site about the Pfizer vaccine being approved for children. We have uncovered some very eye-opening statistics and stories. I want to share the trailer with you. On October 29th, the FDA authorized Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids 5 to 11 years old. Dr. Eric Rubin, who is a member of the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Panel, said before the decision, we're never going to learn about how safe this vaccine is unless we start giving it. That's just the way it goes. That's how we found out about rare complications of other vaccines. Representative Greg Murphy, the only practicing physician in Congress, responded, "That is literally the most dangerous statement I've ever heard in medicine. How is that going to sit with the average mom, the average parent that cares about their child? Are the experts showing respect for science by making such a recommendation? Are vaccines safe for children this young?" Because of the sensitive nature of this topic, we will be putting this episode on our membership site at frontpageshow.com. I hope to see you there. Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen met with the European Parliament delegation at the Presidential Palace on Thursday, November 4th. This is the first time a European Parliament delegation visited the island. The cross-party delegation led by French member Raphael Gluckman is sending a strong signal in support of a self-ruling island amid increasing political pressure from the CCP. Gluckman said that this is showing how important Taiwan's democracy is in the hearts of the European citizens. During the meeting, Tsai expressed Taiwan's willingness to share its experience with Europe in the fight against disinformation. She said, "We hope to establish a democratic alliance against disinformation." The delegation wanted to convey a very simple but clear message in the face of the great threat from Communist China. Taiwan is not alone. Europe will stand with Taiwan, defending freedom, the rule of law, and the dignity of humanity together. One particular area of concern for the EU is semiconductors. The most advanced type is produced predominantly by the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company in a flurry of diplomatic outreach visits to the Czech Republic and to Slovakia. Taiwan Foreign Minister Joseph Wu secured memorandums of understanding on everything from cybersecurity to semiconductors, and his secret meeting in Brussels on October 30th was to discuss Asia-Pacific affairs with EU policymakers. With increasing military, diplomatic, and economic pressure and coercion from the CCP, the EU has realized that Taiwan's value is not only its semiconductors, but it's also on the front line of the democratic world against the CCP. Gluckman said, "Europe is standing with you in the defense of freedom and the defense of the rule of law and human dignity." He continued, "It's high time for us in the European Union to show that we are in the same boat. Next, we need a very concrete agenda of high-level meetings and high-level concrete steps to establish an EU-Taiwan partnership." Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like and subscribe this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.